I taught for 13 years. So although like thousands of kids that you've had interactions with, sometimes I made judgments about a kid and their disconnect from me or disconnect from a classroom, and I never stopped to ask, hey, what's going on? When you ask those questions and you find out, and then sometimes you look at a kid and you're like, wow, you're here today, and I'm so proud of you that you're here today. And then some kids will look at you and go, because this is the best place to be, and I'd rather be here than what I have to deal with when I'm outside of school.
Students who are struggling with something may explode in school or may shut down in school. And many of those students, it's because things are happening in their lives. It could be at home, it could be in the community.
I remember, like it was yesterday, going out to Pittsburgh to a college fair, and we had red bags that we gave them. They left the bags, and I asked the student, why did you leave your bag? And they said, because we live in CRIP territory.
I had another girl that wrote, I have moved 7 times in 7 years. I have learned to not exist. You cannot see inside a human's brain. And when you cannot see inside a human's brain, we make assumptions that a behavior is deliberate, when sometimes the child has got so much stress that their brain has been wired differently.
We know that exposure to adverse childhood experiences reshapes the brain in some really critical ways. Parts of the brain that are responsible for decision-making, regulation of emotion and behaviors, parts of the brain that are responsible for attention. And so when these parts of the brain are influenced in these negative ways, it could have potentially much more negative effects than when trauma is experienced by an adult.
What we identified at our United Way was at the root cause of all those difficult, complex social problems that we were addressing is exposure to childhood trauma. So the best way to support families and support our communities is really by addressing trauma early and building trauma-informed systems to break the cycle of family and community violence and build resilient communities. Resilient Lehigh Valley is a multi-sector partnership of organizations and community members dedicated to our mission of building a trauma-informed and resilient Lehigh Valley through education and collaboration. So through that, we've organized about 100 different organizations and growing, about 160 members and growing, are actively engaged in supporting trauma-informed work.
The heart of a trauma-informed school is the power of a relationship.
Being in trauma-informed school is focusing on the basic needs of our students, making sure they feel safe, that they feel connected.
Your job as educators are not to cure trauma. Our job is to help students through it.
Big things in trauma-informed practices is the way you set up your room. Instead of having rows, you have more clusters and groups so the room doesn't feel so large.
I often would have students be sent to the office because they needed a timeout from the classroom, and now that they have a peace corner, if they need a break, they kind of have that self-regulation ability to kind of go take a break and get back to learning when they're ready.
The main thing is building relationships with kids, resiliency in kids, and the skills that they need to cope with the situation that they're dealing with.
Our students are going through a lot. There are things that are happening in their lives that are so egregious for some of them that they're not going to openly tell you about it. Once you form relationships with kids, once they feel connected to you, many of our kids will tell you. Many of our kids really want to have that conversation.
Our hope with Resilient LV is to create a trauma-informed and resilient community.
We know that Black kids, Latino kids are punished at much greater rates. When we address trauma, we're able to address racial disparities. The shift will be from punishing the kids to actually helping them grow. And when we help them grow, they'll be less likely to repeat the problem behavior, more likely to actually persist in school. We're going to see kids who are going to be able to contribute to the workforce of the Lehigh Valley. Trauma-informed schools can serve as a model for the justice system, for the health system. And in so doing, we'll see healthier and safer communities.
The best benefit of being a trauma-informed school is that we are creating an environment where our students can be the most successful that they can, all of our students.
I've come to understand how much of an epidemic we're in. We've become a safe haven for a lot of our students to just begin to navigate some of the things that they're experiencing.
The best way to trump an adverse childhood experience is a stable, caring adult. We were saying like, at least someone in your house is caring. We were using those phrases all the time when our students didn't need to hear the at least. What our students needed to hear was, that's a lot that you're telling us. We can't really take some of that away, but what we can do is help you carry it.
It's Katie from the ASR team. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.
To see more of the Peak TV, check out our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and catch us on WFMZ Channel 69.